Assalamu alaikum, bonjour, greetings. Labas alaikum, kosimizien. Alhamdulillah. All right, today, guys, I'm kind of strolling through the park here in Rabat. Look at this beautiful place. Look at this. Look at this beautiful place. And I'm going to tell you, if you're not here, be jealous. Be jealous. And if you want to come here, there's a couple things you're going to need to know. You're going to need some basics in Darija. While I'm nowhere close to fluent or even somewhat proficient at it, I do know some basics. And the influx that I've seen in the tourism here, I see there's a lot of people obviously interested in being here, but I don't think everyone really knows exactly what to say. So maybe this video is going to help you out. For all my Moroccan viewers, just sit back with your ate or kahwa or whatever it is that you do, and either sit back and be ready to be amazed or laugh and hit that comment section with how I shoulda, coulda, woulda said something. All right, guys, back to speaking to the foreigners. One of the big things to know here, first and foremost, is social etiquette and basically polite formalities. When you go into a place like a restaurant, pretty much anywhere where there's a group of people and you need to conduct business or talk to someone, you address that person or anyone and you say, of course, assalamu alaikum. You don't have to make a grand gesture, just a polite assalamu alaikum. If you really want to impress them, they say labas alik or labas alaikum if it's plural. Or you can say kider or kidera if it's a female. So when you say assalamu alaikum, that could be to one person or it could be to two or more people, it doesn't matter. And then the response to that would be wa alaikum salam. Then you say labas alik or labas alaikum. And the typical response you're going to hear and should give is alhamdulillah. Now, you have to understand that when you come to an Arab-speaking country, a Muslim country, that the religion is intertwined in the language. You can't get around it. It's just how you speak here. So regardless of your religious stances, your views, your beliefs, you want to come to an Arab-speaking country, a Muslim, an Arabic-speaking country, you're gonna need to understand that this is just a part of the language, and this is how you're gonna get through the day, and it's gonna be a lot better for you if you don't try to avoid these things, because you're not gonna say much and it won't sound right. So there's alhamdulillah. You could say kol shay mizyan, which means everything's good. You say ana, which means I, ana mizyan. Wanta, which means you if you're talking to a male. You can say uanti, which means u is like a W, which means and. Inti to a female, or if you're speaking to two or more people, you can say wantuma, and then they will answer you however, which they're mostly going to just say alhamdulillah because they don't know you, and you're not going to understand their life story if they started telling it anyway. So hania means, it's like the Moroccan hakuna matata, and that needs no further explanation. A very, very common phrase here is hania. So that's something that you want to get a laugh from people, and it's the right time to say not a problem, no worries, it's all going to work out. Say hania. So there's a little bit of a bonus tip for you right there. I forgot all about that word till I said it. So concerning the social etiquette, there's a couple ways you can address people. You know, people that you don't know, people you want to show respect to, and that's what you call them. And this looks like a male that is somewhere close to your age. You want to call them khoya, which means brother. This is something that people who are close to one another also call each other. You know, between good friends, they'll call each other khoya. Or if a girl sees somebody as a brother, that's what she will call him, khoya. Also, if a girl calls you khoya, more than likely she is not interested in you in any other way except khoya, fist bump, salam, baslama, and yeah, that's going to be it. She'll be your friend, but that's it. And the same goes for the other way, kati, which means sister. Guys can call girls this all they want, and it's the same thing. It puts a separation, like, look, this is platonic, this is who you are, this is who I am, we're not a thing, but no hard feelings, and you're my sister in life and all the things. But yeah, you would khoya and kati, you can address people this way that are pretty close to your age. I know that a lot of travelers are, you know, in their 20s, maybe early 30s, and so they may encounter people everywhere they go who may be considerably older than themselves, like, I don't know, me. Anyways, you would want to say ami, which means uncle. It's just a sign of respect to a male who is older than you. It'd be ami. So yeah, that's that. If you go to a place to buy something and you see someone who obviously is going to be, you know, someone older than you, then be ami. And then if it's a woman, it'd be khelti, which means my aunt, auntie. So you have the uncle and you have the aunt. So this is kind of a sign of respect for someone who's older than you when you want to address them. And when you do this, they're going to talk to you anyways, but you've really broken the ice and won some points over with them. So always remember ami, khelti, khoya, khati. And if you want to get to know them a little better, you can say shnu smitik, which means what is your name? And then you would say ana smiti, which means my name, and then tell them your name. And then you can say, you know, mitsharfin, which means nice to meet you. If you really like the way they are and you love just meeting them and it was so great, you can say mitsharfin bezef, which means a lot, much, big. Bezef implies a lot, meaning a lot, very, and all these things. Ana min, which is just simply mn. I forget that I'm going to write this down on the bottom of the screen. Ana min America or Britain or Libriti, wherever you're from. Libriti means whatever. So yeah, that's some of the social etiquette and the basic small talk that you're going to encounter here. If you found this helpful, yeah, give it a thumbs up. I know I told you I would never do that, but I'm starting to understand that those thumbs up really help the algorithm, and not many people are getting to see my videos, and I'm not quite sure why. Because you know this stuff is solid gold. You know that what I do is solid gold, but nobody's watching. So give it a love, share it, all that good stuff. Yeah. All right. So now we're going to talk about shopping. Okay. So now for the shopping, there's typically 3 places you're going to do that. I mean, you're going to go to either the souk, which means market, or you're going to go to the hanut, which is a little convenience store, and you'll see them as you go into the Medina, or pretty much, you know, along the street. There's these little hole in the wall little convenience stores where you can go in, and they pretty much have everything. Not every hanut has the same things, but you're gonna get, you know, things like monada, you're gonna get lama, you can get helwa, and some of them you can get khobs. If you smoke, some of them you can get garo, cigarettes. You can get, you know, toiletries and things like that. Depends on, you know, where you come in to stay and you find a hanut. It's always good to reach out to that mul hanut, which is the owner of the hanut, the man standing in there doing all the things. And when you need something, you can say kain or wesh kain, and then ask for whatever. Say wesh kain monada, wesh kain lama, libriti, yek. Those are the things that you can do when you go to these places like the hanuts and ask for things like that. Khobs is bread. So a lot of hanuts, they have bread. Did I say that already? I don't remember. So anyways, the place you're going to go is to the Medina. Now, pretty much everybody knows about Medinas. It's going to be the old part of the city, usually inside like big walls, or it's going to be, you know, just the older part of the city where you're going to go, and it's going to be very crowded with people and stores, and it's exciting, and there's a lot of bargaining and all kinds of stuff going on, and it's really, really cool. So there's going to be the Medina. So if you ever hear the Medina, or when you come to Rabat and you come out to get into a taxi, you can say you want to go to the Medina. Go to the Medina. I really don't think Medina needs to be touched on a whole lot, because pretty much anyone who's coming to Morocco, I think you're going to know what the Medina is. The other one is going to be the souk. Now, souks are used typically markets that happen like in smaller towns, or one in a town or another. It's an outside market. So basically it's like a bazaar. So people in especially the United States are going to know what a bazaar is. A bazaar, you know, you go out and there's just stuff laid out on the ground. There's people has booths and things like that. And so, but if you're ever here at souk, that's what it is. Go to the souk. Now, when you go into any of these places, there's one thing they all have in common. They're all selling stuff and they all have a price. And if you want to know these prices, you can either point to something or hold something and say bishal, how much. If you're just going to point at something, you can say bishal hadu and point to whatever it is, and then he will tell you how much it is. Remember that when you go into these stores and go to these approach these vendors in the souk and everything, you got to remember assalamu alaikum, kosumijen, lebasalik, something to kind of break the ice. One, it's going to give you a few points with them, because you've taken the time to learn a very rare language and a very small niche in the Arabic world. And for someone from a Western country or foreign country to come up and speak anything other than Assalamu alaikum, well, they're going to be a little bit impressed, and they're going to be like a little bit willing to maybe do a little bit of a fair trade with you, if you know what I mean. So you're asking how much things are. You can say bishal hadu, which means how much are they. Now you say hadu when you're pointing at something, or if you point to something and it's just one, you could say bishal hada. Now there's hada and hedi. Hada and hedi depends on if the word of the object you're asking about is masculine or feminine. But they don't expect us to know all this as foreigners, especially from Western countries that do not have gender-specific language, and so we don't think about these things. So you just say bishal hada, and you point to something, and it's just a singular thing. Yes, if it's more than one, you can say bishal hadu and point to it, and then he'll give you the price. Remember to say shukran. Shukran obviously means thank you. Shukran b'zef means thank you very much. And if you really want to impress them, you walk in and you know, you see the guy who's older than you, and 9 times out of 10, actually pretty much, I've only seen one hanut. From my experience, there's only been one hanut that I've ever seen a woman behind the counter. So you go in and you see this man, and he's, you know, like for my age, I would say koya, but for someone probably in their 20s or early 30s would say ami. You can say wakat and suluk shihaja afik, which means, can I ask you something, please? And then you can say bishal hadu, bishal hada. You can ask him how much things are and point to these things, and if you say that to him, and I promise you, you're going to get someone who really wants to talk to you, and it's going to be a very great experience. So the more Darija you can learn, the better off your experience here is going to be. Speaking of social etiquette, and I cannot believe I have forgotten these, because, well, they were in my notes when I was writing all this down. Afik. Afik means please. When would you not say that? Afik means please. If you feel like you are going to interrupt something, or you're bothering someone, they're in a train of thought, or even if you accidentally bump into someone in the Medina, at the souk, or you know, anywhere, you can say smehliya, smehliya. If it's a female, it would be smehliya. This means excuse me, or, you know, pardon me. It's on me. I'm sorry. It's just a way of just saying I'm sorry, excuse me. Smehliya or smehiliya depends on if it's male or female. So if you're looking at this, the words across the bottom, and you're seeing numbers in the words. I remember the first time I saw this stuff, and back in 2020, and I kind of freaked out, because, you know, I hate math, and I'm like, how dare these people put numbers in the words? But those represent letters in their alphabet that we don't have in a Western alphabet. So when you see the 3, that's an sound. We don't have that in the Western alphabet. It's a. So it takes a little bit of time. And then there's the 9, which is ka, because you have more than one K. You have a ka and you have a ka. So if there's a 9, you're gonna ka. Let's see what else. So ha, like hanut. So you got a ha and you have a ha. So you have different types of H. You have different types. So if you ever see these written and you see these letters, well, now you know what they mean. Oh, what's this? A new setting? A different shirt? Well, if you know this channel, you know only one scenario could have happened, and that is I took an amazing take doing something, and then when I get home and on editing day is when I realize something has gone terribly wrong with that clip. This time my GoPro decided it wanted to switch over to time-lapse without me knowing it, and so everything was like all really fast and no noise. Completely useless. So here we are. I wanted to put this in here because it's actually a little bit important. Well, it's not necessarily important. It's just it's good to know. It's real good to know, and it's one of those. It's a little bit of extra, a little bit of bonus stuff for you to know when you come to Morocco. And one of these is where I'm going to be touching on is back on the social etiquette aspect of this. Anytime you make a business transaction, or someone sees you eating food, and especially anytime someone serves you food, they're going to say basa raha, basa raha. It just doesn't sound right when I try to break that down, and you're never going to hear it any slower than that. Basa raha, which means to your health and enjoyment, something along those lines. Again, the native speakers put it down there and let us all know what it actually means, but what it means is it's like to your health, basically what it is. And the appropriate response to this is Allah yatik saha. Allah yatik saha, or Allah tik saha. And when you say this back to them, they're really going to be impressed, because they just don't hear this coming from tourists, or, you know, let's just say it, white people. They don't hear it coming from people outside this country. You know, to say Allah tik saha, that's going to really mean something for them. So remember that one. Then there's another word, safi. Safi is another very useful word here. It kind of finalizes anything you're saying about something, or even if you're ordering food or picking out things in a hanut, or you're shopping and you're done, you can say, okay, safi, and just smile and just say safi, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a rude thing. I will say that it can be used when you're fed up with someone and you said something and you're like, safi. So that can also apply to people who are tourists. There goes the fire truck. Hello, gentlemen. And as I was saying, this especially applies to tourists. You're walking down the street and you just get someone who will not leave you alone for whatever reason, whether it be they want to be your guide, or they want to, you know, they're just asking for money. Sometimes they get a little pushy and they do get a little persistent, not all the time, but when it happens and you've been nice, you know, 2, 3, maybe even 4 times, then finally you can just look at them and say, Afek Safi. And that will pretty much dissolve that issue right there. You just say Afek Safi, La Shukran Safi, and that's going to pretty much put the into it, and that makes that a very useful term for you, not only for shopping, for ordering things of all kinds, business transactions, but when you have someone who just will not leave you alone out on the streets. All right, guys, back to the regularly scheduled program. Okay, so finally we are down to restaurants. I think I'm covering the basics of everything. Of course, if there's a question that you have, leave a comment. Also remember, like I said at the beginning of this video, I am not the Darija teaching expert. I'm just kind of this white boy passing on some basics that I've learned living here, and I'm trying to say them the best I can, and hopefully you stumble across this channel and you will get something out of this. So now we're on to restaurants. First of all, when you read the menus in a lot of the restaurants here, pretty much most of the restaurants, it's going to be in French. French is a part of Darija. They've got more than one language going on there. They got Spanish, French, a little bit of English, along with Arabic. So it's a very complex language. So if you hear French words and things, or you see a menu that's in French, if you know French, well then, hey, you're good to go here. If you don't, and you want to try your hand at Darija because you're maybe not a fan of French for whatever reason, you can, you know, and you want to ask for a tagine. Well, there's different types of tagines. You can have a tagine with chicken, or dijaj. Some people argue that it's dijaja. I've never seen it really written that way, except for 1 or 2 times, and I've always said dijaj, and no one's ever corrected me. Then you have kefta, tagine diel kefta, tagine diel dijaj. Diel means of. Okay, so tagine diel kefta. Kefta is ground beef. It's ground meat. It's hamburger meat. What we know is hamburger meat. So when you order a tagine diel kefta, it's going to have these little tiny meatballs in it, and this tomato sauce and cheese and egg, and oh my god, it is so good. And it's very easy to make. So if you're going to be here for a while, you know, if you can score the opportunity to make a kefta tagine, do it, man. It'll change your life. It's pretty awesome. Then also there is hout, which is fish. Tagine diel hout. You have chicken, dijaj. You have kefta, which is ground beef. You have hout, which is fish, and then you also have lehem, which is meat, beef. So when you order one with lehem, it's just going to be like let's just consider like roast beef. So Western people, you understand that it's just going to be chunks of beef. It's not necessarily hamburger meat, and it's not a steak. So it's going to be big chunks of beef. And then you can also, if you're feeling a little bit daring, which it's not that bad, you can get a tagine diel ranmi. Ranmi. Now, there's another letter that I can't really say very well, but ranmi is sheep meat. So it's and it's kind of fatty. It's really good. And if you ever get a chance to eat that with a little bit of salt and cumin, jump on that chance, because you're not going to regret that one. And of course, when you want to order something to drink, the waiter or the waitress may ask you, "Wesh briti sharabt shahaja," which means you want to drink something. You could say, "Afek jiblia," or "Atini atay which means tea, now, which means mint. So it's going to say tea with mint. Yep. And you can also ask for lama, which is water, monada, which is soda. Yeah, and that's pretty much going to cover that. Or kahwa, which is coffee. Now there we go with that 9. It's going to be kahwa, not kawa, kahwa. So there's sometimes if you don't say a word just right, it means another word, and we don't want to put ourselves in that kind of position. But it'll be funny because they'll know that it was an innocent mistake. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it insightful. I hope there are some people who have never been to Morocco that found this insightful, that found it in the first place. And if you did, thanks for watching this far. I've had a great time walking through the park. It feels good to get out and walk. It's not too hot here in Rabat. Absolutely love it. So as I'm signing off from this video, we're gonna give you a couple of more things to say when you're leaving. You can say bislama, which means goodbye. Say bislama, and you can say laon, which means may God guide you. So when you say bislama laon, so when you leave like a hanout or a vendor at a souk, or anyone that you do any sort of business with, or even a friend that you're speaking to, when you're leaving, you say bislama laon. That means may God guide you. And it's a very, very proper and an acceptable way of saying goodbye and parting ways. So well, there's that. And then brings me to my final salutation, which is the way I always end my videos, which is Anakum Brikum Bezef, Inshallah, and Shufkum Simanajaya.